Rolling right along. You know how we do on a Wednesday. It's time to dive into Legally Served.
Border. Over the border. Oh, out the border.
It's time for Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt.
I'd like to recess. I'd like an answer to the question, Judge. I'm allowing.
An open discussion about how the law applies to the headlines.
It's a little insulting, but you insult the integrity of this court. The defendant is not guilty.
The defense is wrong.
Somebody in this courtroom is.
Being charged with a crime. Is that what this is? I'm being charged with a crime?
Legally Served with Franz Borghardt.
What I know and don't know, I know the law.
It's time for Legally Served. As we do every Wednesday, we welcome in attorney Franz Borghardt. Franz, what's happening, man?
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays.
How's it going?
Franz. That's going very well. Going very well this morning. We got a lot to talk about. Do you want to start with Meshell Hale, the woman convicted of poisoning her husband? Or do you want to start with Sharon Lewis, a former LSU athletics executive whose lawsuits were thrown out yesterday? Where would you like to begin?
Totally your world, but the convicted murderer who is now possibly going to be able to bond out on an appeal bond.
So
I like that as a starting point because that's a topic that a lot of people don't realize.
Let's go ahead and start there then.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that even if you're convicted, sometimes you can be given what's called an appeal bond.
Okay.
But generally not for murder cases.
Then let's start there. Meshell Hale, the woman accused of poisoning two men, was found guilty of second-degree murder for one of their deaths and has been sentenced to life in prison. Hale was found guilty of second-degree murder for the 2015 death of Damian Skipper, her then-boyfriend. Accused of killing Skipper in Baton Rouge by poisoning him, detectives suspected she did something similar to her husband, Arthur Knopflin, a year later in New Orleans. Detectives testified that Hale, or a person using her name, contact information, credit card, computer, purchased all of it, purchased barium acetate online on 3 different occasions. The same compound was found in both men's systems after they died. Now, walk me through this bail scenario.
So, okay. We have normal bail, which is you're arrested and the court can determine whether or not you're eligible to make bail or not. You make bail. And then we have what's called an appeal bond or a post-conviction bond, which is to say that you're convicted of something, but you're going to take an appeal. And while that appeal is out there, could be years, you can be out on a bond under conditions.
As a convicted murderer.
As a convicted murderer. Now, let me say this to be sure. The post-conviction bond on a murder case is kind of a unicorn. It doesn't happen often. Generally, if you told me, if Brian Haldane said, what are the right ingredients for a post-conviction appeal bond for a murder case, I'd have to say it'd have to be a case where there was like compelling evidence that there may be reasonable doubt. And generally, I would suspect it would be a jury trial and not a judge trial because the judge may have seen something and said, okay, I get that the jury ruled the way they did, but maybe they didn't get that right. It doesn't happen often in murder cases. Why? Because a murder case has a life sentence, and life in Louisiana is life.
Right.
It's not 20 years. It's not 40 years. It's life. What little hair I have on my head, I'm scratching it because I'm a little like, I don't understand like why he allowed this.
I mean, so would the argument be, Your Honor, I only kill my husbands and I don't plan on getting married again?
Yeah, I mean, everybody else in the world is safe.
Right.
Like,
unless you marry her, you're good. And
let's just so we're clear, barium is not like something you purchase because you like it as a topper in your coffee.
I wouldn't imagine.
It's not like, hey, I like hazelnut, I like French vanilla, and I like barium.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. So, yeah. Now, the argument becomes someone who's looking at a life sentence, they have nothing to lose, right? What's the song? What's the song that we love? Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Correct.
So I'm not really sure, like, this was a judge trial. This judge sat. Now, this is an ad hoc judge.
Okay.
He is filling in for another judge that died while on the bench. And so, I mean, and he's an experienced judge. He's, for the record, He's a good judge. He's a good judge. I'm just not really sure about this. I don't know that putting someone who's looking at a life sentence back out is a good idea. And I think she has nothing to lose, man.
Right. And this presents so many other problems that go along with that. And I don't like taking things in a vacuum and trying to put them into comparison everywhere else, but it's damn near impossible not to with this. We have a problem with putting too many people back on the street far too often for far too little. Now, again, Meshell Hale could say, Your Honor, I only kill my husbands and I don't plan on getting married again. That's fine. But
it's an optics issue, right?
So it's an optics issue on the one side, but it's on the other side is how many times has somebody been out on bond for one thing and done something completely different or worse?
Well, so that is the one side of it is society safe? Are we okay? The other side of it is if you're looking at this and you're outside of the justice system, man, maybe you can murder somebody and get convicted and then they'll be able to get out.
That's what we're going to have to pick it up after the break. Here comes news on Talk 107.3. I should have tossed that out with only 10 seconds to go.
It's okay.
The
Byron, so she's single and out of jail. I'm going to have to look her up.
No,
Byron.
No, she looks a lot like Shannon Sharp.
I actually met the woman before she got arrested. And before
Tinder?
No.
Bumble?
No, she occasionally would frequent cigar spots. And I'm a cigar smoker. And I can remember when I heard these allegations, I was like, huh? I mean, I'm not going to say her defense did a bad job. I am going to say should have called Franz.
Well, it's
okay.
As Jesse Pinkman said, you don't need a criminal defense attorney. You need a criminal defense attorney.
Brian Haldane is not calling me a criminal, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
but
I'm not. But
I've seen stuff. My hands have gotten dirty before.
We're going to walk down that path of what would you have done to defend her here.
Well, I got to tell you, the big one is I don't know that I go judge trial.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be a reasonable explanation for giving not one, but two previous romantic partners poison.
But can you really prove that it was her?
I mean, I like a little barium in my fiber, man.
It might have been somebody else using her name, her contact information, her credit card, and her computer from her IP address in her home. Wearing her panties. It could have been anybody.
There is a defense I've always wanted to use. It's the "it wasn't me" defense, where you're caught like red-handed. I think there's a song like catch someone red-handed doing something. You're like, "Wasn't me."
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
That's a song by Shaggy.
Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Like, you guys didn't see this. I mean,
crazy, man.
You said, Alondra, thank you for that phrase, gaslighting a jury. Been doing this for like 15, 16 years. Never thought about that. If it works on a loved one, gaslighting works on a loved one. Why wouldn't it work on a jury?
It's part of the job description, Franz.
Oh, man.
When in doubt. By the way, good morning, Christy. Welcome in, sweetheart.
Franz, what do you think about lawmakers trying to stop liquor being sold at cigar and hookah bars? Well, Debbie, that would make my life a little bit easier. No, I don't understand the correlation between why you would prohibit those two, but one might say that.
There are those people that don't smoke unless they've been drinking.
So
those people that are drunk and they're like, I need a cigarette.
Yeah. So those are cigarette people, though.
So Galen points out you could make the argument it wasn't me for one spouse, but for two? Question mark. Yeah. It's hard to gaslight when it's like two poisoned victims. Two victims poisoned in a similar way, but they never prosecuted her for the first one, right? Wasn't there like...
No, they did prosecute her for the first one. A year later, she killed her husband, Arthur Knopflin. Barium acetate found in him, but his body was burned beyond recognition. So you could... Yeah, the medical examiner down in New Orleans couldn't determine the cause of his death,
So she got better.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, they didn't find the barium in him. I think they traced that she had ordered it again before he was burned beyond recognition.
Ordered it again?
Well, yeah, she orders it online. You can buy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like this is not like uranium from Back to the Future where Doc has to steal it from the who does he steal it from?
The Libyans.
The Libyans, yeah. Yeah. I just brought Back to the Future into the show. Thank you. You're welcome.
I'll have you know Back to the Future is in the show every single day at 8:06.
My text message is there is a Back to the Future element of my text message chimes.
Okay.
Anyways, so
oh, that's what that sound is when he looks at the picture and somebody's disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always tried to figure that out.
Alondra's
So I'm probably on an FBI list now because I just Googled how much does barium acetate cost.
No, it's not uranium. You're good.
Plutonium.
Yeah. Plutonium. You know, I'm not saying this is how you get away with stuff, but maybe clear out your Google search engine.
I don't believe you can.
Maybe.
I don't believe you can.
You need to have a burner computer where you can search. Go to the public library. I'm not saying this is how you murder somebody and get away with it, but maybe go to the public library and search barium. A burner. I don't know that there's such a thing as a burner computer, but I do think that there could be jury gaslighting. Gaslighting a jury.
Yep. We are prepping for that cold weather with your forecast. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo.
Byron writes, maybe barium is like cilantro. Some people love the flavor, and it makes other people gag. She may just be outside the box cook.
I do love cilantro.
How do you hate? Like, there is a population where it's like...
Nasty as nuts. I hate when like Pico has which like all
A lot of it does. Yeah. I was at the Nexus, Louisiana's 30th anniversary party Friday night, and they had the street tacos. By the way, it would have been nice of Steven to let me know that thing was black tie.
Oh, awkward. What did you roll up in?
If I'd clicked through and read the full invitation rather than just the part that was in... Oh, I wasn't like off.
You Silicon Valley.
Oh. If I clicked through and read the full invitation, I would have seen it on my own. But, yeah. I'm going to blame him if I can. Where were you at? 637, Southwest 3 FM, WBRP. And we're back. Mornings with Brian Hale, rolling right along, legally served with us.
Like a Christopher Walken kind of thing?
No, who was it? It was an SNL thing. I can't remember who. I think it was Jimmy Fallon in the sketch. Played the over-the-top radio morning zoo DJ. Yeah. And we're back. All right. Let's continue on talking a little bit about Meshell Hale and this. I'm stuck on the conditions that would be involved that would lead to her being out on bond, which seems to be it seems to be controversial, but
Judge, you don't understand. If she's not out on bond, she can't skip the country and go to a non-extradition country. I mean, it's really difficult.
Mm-hmm. Okay. During Tuesday's hearing, this is per the Advocate story, Hale's attorneys filed a barrage of motions Monday and Tuesday aimed at challenging her conviction. Andrew Bevinetto, is that his name? I might be mispronouncing that. One of her lawyers asked 19th JDC Judge Raymond Bigelow to order a new trial, reconsider her sentence to make her eligible for parole, and acquit her based on legal rulings before and during the trial. Bigelow described the evidence against Hale as overwhelming and denied all those requests. However, after saying he had thought about this quite a bit, he granted a request that she be given bond, which he set at $300,000, the same amount he set for her release while she awaited trial. So while she was awaiting trial, it's $300,000 bond. And then now, even after the conviction, he's saying, let's do the same number.
So the pulling back the curtain there, when you're convicted and have not yet been sentenced, you technically have to make a new bond. right? And the way that we all get around that is the court can impose the same bond that you initially made and leave the same bond in effect. So, like, if you were awaiting sentencing on a DWI third, and you made a $30,000 bond, the judge can say, I'm going to set a post-conviction bond at $30,000 and I'll give you the same bond you had before. So I suspect that that's why he picked the same number, is that so she could reinstitute the same bond. Is $300,000 low on a murder conviction where she may have done it more than once? Kinda low.
Honestly, I think any number is low at this point.
I don't know.
You're convicted.
Yeah, but
You're awaiting sentencing.
Well, it's extra in this case because she chose a judge trial. The judge has already made commentary that the evidence was, and I quote, overwhelming.
Okay, let's talk.
He didn't say underwhelming. He said overwhelming.
And is there a level of just whelming?
Yes, there are whelmings.
Is there whelming?
Yeah.
You have over, under, and just
You go on a date. You take someone to dinner. It's underwhelming.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Let's talk about that. If she had hired Franz Borghardt,
She may not even be in this predicament.
well, I mean, let's not brag too much. So if she had hired you, judge trial versus jury trial.
So you pick a judge trial when you have a legal argument that you're trying to diffuse the emotion out of a case, and you have a legal argument of it's a yeah but kind of scenario. So they must have thought, hey, we got a better shake with a judge versus a jury. The problem is judges sometimes see through the BS that juries don't necessarily.
Well, is that what they had here, though? Because you have the boyfriend who was killed via barium, and then you had the husband who was burned beyond recognition to the point where the New Orleans coroner couldn't determine the cause of death. So if I'm looking for a legal angle here, what I'm saying is you don't know the cause of death here, so you can't say
She's not a black widow. No matter how much the state tries to make her into the black widow, she's not a black widow. And just because there's smoke here doesn't mean there's fire.
There was fire. He was burned beyond recognition.
I wouldn't
Also,
have used
she is
that.
black and is a widow.
I wouldn't have used that. Well, okay. I'm going to let you retract that one. I wouldn't have used the smoke fire one on this one. I'm just saying.
You know what? You just can't put it out there like that.
So here's the thing. In more problematic cases, in more, the ice skating uphill cases, I go jury.
Okay.
Because you never know. And remember, the jury has to be unanimous. All 12 have to be unanimous. And every once in a while, you can get a juror that maybe bites your fishing hook. But in this case, they went judge. So the odds of appealable issues goes down. The prosecutor, Dana Cummings, said, hey, this was a clean trial. That's her way of saying there's not going to be a lot of issues on appeal.
Yeah.
Now she's not, I'm going to say this again. Second-degree murder is life in Louisiana. It's not mostly life. You're not mostly dead. It's life, right? There's no parole. Mm-hmm. There's no parole. The only way she gets out is in a pine box at whatever facility she's going to be housed at. I think at Lane Hunt. So I just don't. I don't know now. And look, from the perspective of the victim's family, like, how do you feel right now?
Baffled. Well, the Advocate article basically said baffled the whole way through. I really don't know how to feel, said Skipper's cousin, Michael Duran. It was a shocker to give somebody a mandatory life sentence and then turn around and give them a bond. We can't get Skipper back. It's just kind of confusing right now that they would do such a thing. Meanwhile, Carol Knopflin Herzog, Knopflin's oldest sister, said her family was disappointed in the decision Bigelow made after listening to 8 days of testimony. Says it's just baffling to all of us. It makes no sense.
Well, the 8 days of testimony is I mean, maybe 7 of those days were underwhelming evidence. I mean, that the length of the trial has nothing to do with it. He convicted her.
No, but if you're going out and it's just that barrage of overwhelming evidence, it's it's like an Alabama non-conference game. If you're getting 4 touchdowns a quarter, yes, it's boom, 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 just constant pounding of overwhelming evidence.
So here's the thing. I'm not saying she's a serial killer. I'm not saying she's a black widow. I'm saying someone who has allegedly killed 2 people, is convicted of killing 1 person. Does that person pose a threat to society? Kinda. Maybe. Especially if they're looking at down the barrel of a life sentence.
And that's That's the sticking point. And we're going to wrap it up on this one and move on to Sharon Lewis in the next segment. But that's the sticking point to me is she's already convicted of killing one, alleged to have killed another. Yes, they were both intimate relationships with her. So is the rest of society at risk? Well, it's a different game now because, like you said before, what has she got to lose?
She got nothing to lose.
She were to off somebody else. If she goes through her, if she has a list of people she wants, like Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison,
put lipstick through Billy Madison's name. Well, so here's the thing: is taking away a passport really going to stop her from jumping ship?
Nope.
Right. So I think we agree that this probably wasn't a good decision. Maybe should have left her in, or at least explain. I need to understand a little bit better why it is that he made the decision he made. Because I feel like that's the part of the advocate story that I'm missing is what he's thought about it a lot.
They went through it a little bit. It just not enough. I'm with you. It wasn't enough. All right. We're gonna have to close out on this topic because we do need to talk about Judge Tim Kelly dismissing all of former LSU employee Sharon Lewis's claims against LSU. This is a trial that, this started in the middle of COVID? Was it 2 years ago when we first heard about this?
It exploded.
There's been a full-on timeline since then, and yet exploded. It led to a lot of change at the university and a lot of allegations where, in the public eye, LSU was guilty of everything before anything went through a court.
And more to the point, one of the finest law firms in Louisiana, Taylor Porter, was basically made to look like,
Yep. All right, let's break here on air. We'll check traffic. We'll check your money now. Coming back, he's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served every Wednesday, and that will continue next on Talk 107.3.
That was a condit thing to say.
I don't think I said anything wrong.
I mean, FCC trouble? No.
All you did was state facts.
I did.
Brian's not racist. He has lots of black friends.
I've never seen one.
Wow. I'm just going to say it sounds like more like something I would have said. Where there's smoke there.
You said just because there's smoke doesn't mean there's fire. And I said he was burned beyond recognition. So I said there's fire. You did that.
Quite literally was smoke and fire.
I tell people all the time, it's not the witnesses to the murder that get you convicted. It's the things you do in preparation for the murder or trying to get rid of the body. It's the going online to look for barium.
Yeah.
It's the going to Walmart to look for Clorox or to get Clorox, where you're like carrying a shovel Clorox and like, that's the stuff. I mean, I'm just telling you based on my experience, that is the overwhelming evidence.
When you have a checklist, and this is going to be my go-to for the rest of my life. When you have a checklist of things to do and you don't throw away your checklist at the end, that's what got Vince Marinello. Vince Marinello killed his wife after Hurricane Katrina. Dude went in, bought a wig and glasses. Dude went in and with an old crappy gun to a gun store and says, "Hey, is this still useful to solve a problem?" All these things, bicycle, like everything he did to commit the perfect crime. He rolled up on his wife on a bicycle along Metairie Road. Anyway, all of the things he did, what he did not do was throw away his checklist. And when the FBI executed their search warrant, they found the freaking checklist. 15 items on the list.
I mean, if I got away with it, I kind of want to frame checklist,
right?
Memorialize it and say, "Hey, look what I did."
Yeah,
I got my big boy pants on. Look what I did. It's horrible.
Item number 16: throwaway checklist.
That's on the checklist.
Burn the checklist.
It's easier to burn than a body. I'm just saying. Oh man,
it was post Katrina New Orleans, so it was very easy to make it look like a random.
So that hydrochloric acid, things that dissolve things in tubs, right? You still got to get the acid, right? And how you get the acid is, and you think about the electronic signature on everything. It's your cell phone. If you have your cell phone on you and you go to a place that sells hydrochloric acid, they're able to triangulate that. If you use a credit card or a debit card, they're able to proof and evidence that. If the place you get the hydrochloric acid from has cameras, so you have to almost go. I'm not saying this is how you get away with murder. I'm just saying you have to go to another place, another town, pay cash.
Yeah.
Get rid of your checklist. Get rid of your checklist. Maybe don't have a checklist.
Yeah, don't make a checklist. If you need a checklist,
It's 2022. Why aren't you using notes on your iPhone? Why you have to have a checklist?
We're
I'm-
yeah.
Back then, they didn't have the.
So, yeah, why would you purchase anything online in Louisiana,
The folks at
where
Guarantee
we have no shortage of swamps and the alligator population has been rebuilt?
Just so we're clear, the folks at Guarantee Broadcasting and Talk 107.3, nor Brian Haldane advocate for the killing of human beings and or disposing of bodies.
I think that
oh my
yeah.
gosh, this guy is like
Vince Marinello, yeah.
Good at sportscasting, not so good at the murder checklist. Getting rid of that. Yeah.
He
Look, our boy who put the act on the sticky note and then got rid of the sticky note, he still got convicted.
he did. Well,
Sticky note.
He pled himself
Sticky
down. Though.
note.
Yeah, how'd the note get sticky? He pled himself down and resigned, so he's not really in trouble.
Good morning, Dara.
oh, because she was filing for divorce.
So I'm teaching at a law school near us in the spring, and like I can't tell you how much I don't want it to be like a How to Get Away with Murder show. Although,
You know it's gonna be.
no.
It's
Take those broken wings and learn to fly again. No, I don't know where I'm going with that.
there's really no reason to bring up Mr. Ever.
Kyrie.
It's the wonderful time with the kids jingle belling and telling you be a good cheer.
652, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt, rolling right along. So, yesterday, as this played out, the advocate reported that Judge Tim Kelly dismissed 7 allegations against Les Miles and LSU made by former employee Sharon Lewis. Then it was reported later on that all the allegations were thrown off. The way the advocate story reads, a Baton Rouge judge on Monday dismissed several. Okay, Baton Rouge judge on Monday dismissed several counts from former LSU recruiters, sweeping lawsuit against university officials and ex-football coach Les Miles. Sharon Lewis, former associate athletic director, filed suit against LSU last year, alleging an atmosphere of hostility and discrimination was allowed to fester at the university after she reported sexual harassment claims two female students made against the coach. Long-tenured 19th JDC Judge Tim Kelly dismissed 7 of the 13 counts filed against several defendants in the case, which lists LSU's Board of Supervisors and more than a dozen athletic department officials. On other allegations, he granted Lewis's lawyers 30 days to amend the complaint to rectify any legal deficiencies in their filings. It was a day of legally wrangling as attorneys representing the slate of LSU administrators and attorneys listed as defendants in Lewis's wide-ranging complaint sought to have them removed from the case. So Lewis alleges racial discrimination, employee harassment, and retaliatory actions after she reported Miles. Lewis was a recruiter who worked directly under Miles for the school's football program.
When you say directly under Miles,
Stop.
we meant not what?
As in
What?
chain of command.
That's ambiguous. Just
To nobody but you.
I'm in a dark place.
No, I understand.
And by dark place, I mean this entire like.
So what? But let's try to get it back on the rails. Everybody kind of just assumed guilt here.
Well,
In the court of public opinion, there was this is how it is in athletics.
To be fair, if you think back to all the stuff we found out through the audit, you know the audit I'm referring to.
Yeah, I remember.
Was it really that much of a journey to say this woman may really have had these things happen to her? I mean, I'm not saying LSU covered up a whole bunch of stuff, but now, that being said, to have a valid lawsuit in the state of Louisiana, it can't be quote unquote frivolous, right? You have to have a valid cause of action. You have to have valid claims. You have to be able to back up. You got to be able to back up what you're claiming with what we call facts, proof.
Right.
You know, and I think this is an instance of she threw a whole bunch of stuff out into the ether. Her attorneys did, especially against one of the most prestigious law firms in the state of Louisiana, and it didn't stick. The pickles hit the wall and didn't stick. So now there. My understanding is there was a sanction. There was a sanction against that firm, and they're going to have to pay Taylor Porter like six-figure money. Like, was it like $300,000 plus?
That sounds right.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
As for LSU and their reputation, now, a whole new department was created to address this sort of thing, though.
Right.
Which also creates...
LSU gets to shrug its shoulders and say, mistakes were made, and we're doing the best we can, and this is not one of those mistakes. This case was invalid, yada, yada, yada. LSU can say we're doing the best we can, and look, these are the great things we're doing. The law firm that used to represent LSU, on the other hand, their reputation was vastly, in my mind at least, was vastly more damaged in this entire skirmish.
Okay, so, and when we're talking about reputation, we're talking about damage, you have to enter the term optics or perception, right?
Right.
So there were, and if I'm remembering this right, RICO charges.
Yeah.
Okay. You throw that term out there, and everybody's perception of the case changes drastically.
Because we've all seen Dark Knight,
right?
And we know what RICO charges are. We know Harvey Dent's trying to go after organized crime. RICO insinuates what? Crime,
right?
A crime
on a larger level,
a larger co-conspirator crime. Not just the LSU or that the law firm did something, but that they acted criminally,
right? Yeah, you're talking about Les Miles, and you're using a term that was used for John Gotti.
Yeah,
there's a huge difference there. So, is it, when looking back on this, was this an overreach to go for RICO?
I think we see a lot of overreaches as an attorney who does criminal law, looking at the civil arena. I think we see a lot of overreaching. I think she did think that she was going to have a payday where she was going to be able to get a bucket of money, and if you don't have the proof and you don't have the facts, and you're gonna try to destroy somebody in the effort to sue them, you're gonna try to destroy their reputation. This is what happens: is it gets kicked, and then you may have to face having to pay a check to the other side. Now, I don't know if the $300,000 sanction fine is gonna stick. I don't know that that's gonna be something they have to pay. And candidly, if you're Taylor Porter, you don't really. It's like Johnny Depp.
You made your point.
Yeah, you won, right? You get to frame that and say, Johnny Depp. It was never about the money. It was about the reconstitution of what? Reputation.
Which
right.
Is that reconstitutable?
Hey, Johnny Depp is defying gravity right now.
Well, that's true.
He's got, what's the cologne? Savage. I don't know. I don't wear it, but like, he's got a cologne with a commercial where he's playing guitar. Okay. So Taylor Porter,
this is not legal commentary, but I don't think I want to smell like Johnny Depp.
So Taylor, it smells kind of piratey. But Taylor Porter is figuratively like out in a desert playing a guitar right now.
Right.
It's Taylor Porter can say, hey, look, our clients are existing. And look, I'm not getting paid by Taylor Porter to say this. I like Taylor Porter. It's a good firm. Taylor Porter can say, the clients we've had over the years that we've been in business already know what we've said from day one, which is we're a good law firm. We've done good stuff. Think back to the counsel from Taylor Porter that was advising LSU. One of the stories was that she tried to resolve a case where she tried to get the student to be able to take a quiz again. And everybody was like, oh, that's shocking. And I said, what did I say on the radio? I said, that's good lawyering.
Yeah.
So I think this is a huge win for Taylor Porter. Kind of a win for LSU. Kind of.
All right.
Kind of. This goes out in the sunset.
Well, as far as LSU is concerned, I don't know that anything is retractable.
LSU always wins.
Well, he is attorney Franz Borghardt. We do this every Wednesday. Franz, I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Happy holidays.
Absolutely. we are due up for a break. Going to check the CBS World News Round.